Hello, welcome to Retro Core, and now it's time to take a look at that machine a lot of you have been waiting for, the PC Engine. So without further ado, let's take a look at the hardware, because to be honest, it's a real minefield if you're jumping into the PC Engine scene for the first time. The NEC PC Engine. Buying a PC Engine can be very confusing once you have found out there are so many variations of the same console. It all started back in October 30th, 1987 in Japan. NEC released the first PC Engine, which came in this lovely white colour. So compact and quite a powerful system. The trouble was that this first unit only had RF video output. What were NEC thinking? Who on earth would want RF output? Even in 1987, at least give us composite. Anyway, next came the PC Engine Core Graphics. This system looked a little different in design and of course a completely different colour. The hardware is still the same as the original white PC Engine, but now this unit has composite video out. Still no RGB though, but at least you can mod this system for RGB. After the Core Graphics we got the Core Graphics 2. This unit is exactly the same as the Core Graphics, but now has a new logo. That's it. A new logo, nothing else. With the arrival of CD technology, the PC Engine became the first console ever to use CDs. The first unit was basically an interface case that you slotted your CD drive and PC Engine into. This unit would work with the original white PC Engine, Core Graphics and Core Graphics 2. The CD unit has no internal memory, so a system card had to be plugged into the cartridge slot of the PC Engine. The first version, 1.0, didn't last very long, and was quickly replaced by a version 2.0. It held 1 megabit of RAM, which really wasn't a lot to be honest. As the PC Engine CD games became more demanding, the need for more memory was a must. This CD-ROM 2 unit had 2 megabits of RAM built in and did not require a system card to play most games. Seeing that CD-ROM was now becoming the main format for PC Engine games, NEC released a HuCard and CD-ROM system in one. The first was the Duo. However, these units are notorious for poor build quality. I've personally had 3 of these over the years, which have all had CD drive issues. After the Duo, NEC released the Duo R. Its new white shell looks a lot sleeker than the original Duo, plus this unit was far better built. Next came the Duo RX. It's exactly the same as the Duo R, but now comes with a 6-button controller. Also, its colour is slightly different to the original Duo R. This abomination was known as the UFO. Again, it's identical to the original white PC Engine, but now they've taken away the ability to connect a CD-ROM drive to it. Again, what were NEC thinking? NEC also wanted to get into the handheld market, so they also released the PC Engine GT, a chunky but full colour backlit PC Engine. Back in the day, this was something very special. The screen may have been small, but it was much cleaner than that found on the Lynx or the Game Gear. Next we have the PC Engine LT. Perhaps the ultimate PC Engine. This was a portable system, which was like pretty much a Core Graphics with its own built-in joypad and its own flip-up 4-inch screen, which was pretty high quality for back in the time. It also had a TV tuner, which is completely useless now since all TV is digital. And best of all, it could be connected to a CD-ROM system. So far, all the units you've seen can play the exact same HuCard games and CD-ROM games, if you had the CD add-on that was. NEC sure like to confuse their customers, but we're not done yet. NEC went on to release the Super Graphics. This massive system is mostly empty space inside. In fact, it's basically a stock PC Engine with more memory and extra graphics processor. This variation of the PC Engine was expensive back in the day, and is still expensive even now. The sad part is that only 7 exclusive games were ever released for this system. Not to worry though, because it's fully backwards compatible with all of the PC Engine Hue cards and CD-ROM titles. By the way, the Japanese PC Engine Hue cards are actually region coded, they won't work on a US system. But the CD-ROMs, they're completely region free. The NEC PC Engine. Now let's take a look at the PC Engine hardware. This particular unit is the PC Engine Core Grafx, the second revision of the PC Engine hardware. But basically, all the PC Engine Hue card players are the exact same size. As you can see, the console is extremely small, smaller than a modern day DVD or Blu-ray box. Now on the front of the console, we have the slot where you can slide in your cartridge or card. The cartridge connectors are well hidden to keep them nice and clean. Around the side of the machine, we have the AV out. This particular unit's been RGB modded. As standard, the PC Engine Core Grafx can only do composite video. On the other side of the machine we have the power input, and around the back of the machine we have the multi-out. Now these pins are a hacker's dream. They are connected to pretty much everything inside the PC Engine's hardware. Now around the front of the machine we have the on and off switch and the joystick port. Notice there's only one port. You need to buy a multi-tap to play multi-games. Game cartridges slide into the machine very simply. You just slide them into the slot and switch on the power. So our first PC Engine games seem to come in what look like normal CD cases, when in fact they actually come in cases which are completely black on the back apart from a sticker. Now this was a big problem back in the day because there was no internet, so the only way you could find out what a game looked like was either look in a magazine or see it demonstrating in a shop. And of course you can't see every single game you want to see running in a shop, and magazines don't cover every single game out there. So it was quite a bit of a problem, and I think NEC were a little bit sneaky in doing that. So inside the case you'll find the Hue card itself inside a nice little plastic bag. Sometimes there's a little bit of foam in there as well to stop it rattling about. The Hue cards themselves are extremely thin. Around the back of the card they have some instructions on what you should do with it and what not to do with it. Also a place to write your name, which I hope people didn't do. The vinyl folders that the cards can slide into quite often yellow with age. Luckily this one still looks pretty good. So the quality of the manuals did vary from publisher to publisher. This particular game is full colour, but some manuals were only half colour and half black and white, while really cheap publishers only give you black and white manuals. So hopefully that little feature has made it clear for you to which PC Engine you should be buying for your needs. I mean, if you don't know anything about PC Engine, it can be a real minefield choosing the right console. So you've seen the hardware and you've seen the package in which the games come in. Now it's time to take a look at some of the software in action, and we'll be using one of these. This is a Turbo EverDrive. Basically it's a little device where you put your micro SD card in the side and you can play your games on your real PC Engine. So let's check out some games. Hana Taaka Daka by Taito is one of those only in Japan strange type of games. The story goes that Konta the fox, while on a walk with his girlfriend Inari, accidentally broke the magical seal that held in the evil raccoon. Needless to say that all hell breaks loose when Jinkanda the evil raccoon abducts Inari. The gods come to rescue with a flying tengu, a sort of red goblin with a long pointy nose. This is what you play as in the game. Yep, it really is that mad. Tengu comes with a rather unusual ability that allows him to grow in size throughout the game by collecting special scrolls. This generally increases your firepower but also your hitbox size. Still, it's worth the trade-off in my opinion. Throughout the game, Tengu will find pieces of the missing seal to the raccoon's prison. Collecting all of them is necessary if you wish to see the full ending. Hana Taaka Daka is a fantastic yet slightly crazy shooter, full of secrets that should appeal to fans of the shooter genre. City Hunter is based upon the grown-up manga and anime of the same name. You take control of Ryo Seiba, a bodyguard for hire and certainly the ladies' man. So much so that he tends to only accept jobs from beautiful female clients. Unfortunately for Ryo, he has his partner, Kaori, sister to his ex-partner who was killed on a case, keeping watch over him. Unfortunately, you won't get to see any risque body shots in this game. What we have here is an action adventure split into several different stories. The gameplay mostly involves running around buildings, shooting the bad guys and trying out the doorways scattered around the areas. Often these doorways will lead to separate rooms, sometimes with an essential character waiting to give you more information to progress the game. Overall, City Hunter is quite fun in the short term, despite there not being much variety in the gameplay or backgrounds. However, I can't help but feel it's a waste of a license. Most of the action is indoors, while in the manga and the anime, a lot of time is spent outside. Also, where's the tongue-in-cheek comedy? Such a shame that these aspects are missing. It could have added so much more to the overall product. Ninja Spirits by Iron was only ever ported to the PC Engine console, although it did see a release over various home computer formats. Out of all of these, the PC Engine version reigns king, and it's easy to see why. True, the sprites are tiny, but there are loads of them on screen at once. In fact, there's so much going on that I lose track of what's going on at times. The whole atmosphere of the game really brings you into that world of ancient ninjas. One aspect that helps that atmosphere is the music. While I do find some of the instruments used a little crude, it does have an amazing airy vibe to it. That I really like. Many of the PC Engine's TV licensed games end up being some sort of story-based adventure game. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but having a nice action game would be preferable. Sadly, we don't get a nice action game with Knight Rider, but at least it is an action game. Actually, the idea behind it suits the source material quite well. What we have here is basically a rip-off of Chase HQ, minus the flashy arrest scenes. There's nothing inherently bad with Knight Rider, but then again, there's nothing that makes it better than, well, Chase HQ. Michael and Kit hit the road in chase of crooked lawbreakers after receiving the info from Devon, and that's the problem. It's just driving and driving some more. In the TV show, Michael would often get out and end up giving chase on foot. I would have so much loved to have seen that in this game. That would have been so cool. Still, at least Kit is armed with a rifle and his gravity defeating jumps. Seriously, Kit can stay airborne for well over 5 seconds. There are actually 2 Doraemon games for the PC Engine, a platformer and this, a maze puzzle game. Out of the 2, this is by far the best, but for what reason? Well, simply put, it's fun. The basic idea of the game is simple. Collect all of the dorayaki, they're the pancake looking things, while avoiding the enemies. Once all the dorayaki have been collected, a key will appear. Grabbing that will allow you to open a door to exit to the next stage. All good simple fun. Every now and then you will find an enemy standing in your way. No problem, just dig a hole and bury the enemy alive, complete with a crucifix. Man, Doraemon sure has a dark side. Throughout the stages you'll also be able to find power-ups in the shape of speed boots, multiple hole digging abilities, and stronger attacks and trampolines. There's no doubt this is a simple game, but whoever said a game had to be complicated to be fun? The Soon Soon series is actually based upon the 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West, or as I like to remember it, the game based upon the 17th Japanese TV show Monkey, sometimes known as Monkey Magic. Anyway, Soon Soon 2 is quite different than the original 1984 arcade game by Capcom that featured 4 scrolling stages. This game is more of a standard platform affair. The goal of each level is rather simple. Soon Soon must use his platforming and exploration skills in order to find the key and reach the door that leads to the next area, or the boss. He cannot idle through the stages, mind you. If he does, a red demon will appear and throw deadly lightning bolts at him. Throughout the game you'll come across shops that sell items for zenny. Yep, Capcom's own currency used in many of their games. The funny thing is though, that in this game, zenny is actually a fruit that you pick up while on your travels throughout the stages. In the shops you can buy such items such as health, magic potions, extra continues and power gloves. Or you can simply upgrade your magic staff, the almighty weapon at the core of the gameplay of this game. So what do you think of the games you've seen so far? They may not be to Western gamers' taste, but the Japanese absolutely loved them. They loved them so much in fact, that the PC Engine was once Japan's biggest selling console, outselling the Famicom, completely obliterating the Mega Drive, and even more popular than Super Famicom at one point. Most of that was down to the shoot-em-ups that were on the system, but also the anime licenses, such as City Hunter in the background, which was a really big deal back in the day. The game itself though, well, it's fairly entertaining. Maybe a little bit mediocre these days, but you know, it was popular enough back then. So anyway, enough waffling from me, let's check out another 6 excellent PC Engine games. When you think of Data East, the last type of game you associate with them is a vertical shooter, but that's just what Override is. An intense vertical shooter. You take control of a squarey spaceship battling through 6 long stages. The game is extremely busy, with tons of power-ups filling up the screen at any time. They usually add a second weapon to the ship which can be powered up 3 times, such as a homing laser, a straight laser, a rotatory wave, and so on. I really like this system as it gives a chance to power up the optional weapon as well as my main weapon. I also like this system because instead of dying when you're hit, you just power down 1 level, allowing you to continue with the game. Based upon the arcade game of the same name, but actually quite different in many ways, Valkyrie no Densetsu has you take control of a warrior maiden from the heavens, who must fight her way through the 8 multi-scrolling stages by firing shots from her sword. Upon killing the enemies, most of them will leave gold coins or magic bubbles behind, which can be exchanged for special items in the store. Valkyrie no Densetsu isn't just pure action though. The adventure elements are what really make this game unique. You will run into a variety of colourful characters who will give you gameplay advice and occasionally reward you with useful items to aid you on your quest. I really like this game, but there is one issue I have with it, and that is the lack of parallax scrolling. There are some areas which can really confuse you. For example, you can't really tell if it's a cliff or if it's part of the same plane you're walking on. Quite a few times I've walked over to a section of the screen thinking it was a grassy plain, only to find myself falling to my doom. Now this is an odd one. Gomola Speed is quite an unusual combination of the old phone game Snake crossed with a little bit of Gauntlet. In fact, its text boxes resemble Gauntlet exactly, with phrases such as "Use keys to open doors" or "Treasure 500 points." But what type of game is Gomola Speed? Well, the basic idea is first to collect all your body parts, enabling you to build your snake. Then you need to collect items and take out enemies using your body. But how? Well, surrounding your enemies with your long snake-like body will cause them to die. I guess your body doesn't smell too good, causing the enemies to keel over from the stench. You also have bombs which you can lay around the stage. These act as a magnet to certain enemies, although they will not die once the bomb explodes, but more like, well, just be frozen for a few seconds. At least this makes subjecting the enemies to your stink a little easier. I've got to say that Gomola Speed is a very simple yet addicting little game. I'm surprised it was never released stateside, to be honest. Cute simple run and jump platformers are a dime a dozen in Japan, so it's easy to let one that may be fun slide right under the radar. Dragon Egg is just one of those games. It's a nice little game that's great to pick up and play During those times you don't have much time to spend on gaming. The game gets its name from the egg our heroine uses to smack enemies with. Each time you power it up, the dragon inside the egg grows. First its head pops out to enable more power bashing. Eventually, he'll start to blow flames, and once he's fully powered up, he turns into a fully fledged dragon that you can ride on. Every time you kill an enemy in this game, they'll drop a certain coin. Those coins can be collected and used in the shops throughout the stages. With the money you can buy things such as various power-ups and health ups, which you will most certainly need, as some of the stages can be a little tricky. The bosses on the other hand, well, they're a total cakewalk. Metal Stoker comes from the rather unknown developer, Face. This is no surprise as most of their games were total rubbish or mediocre at best. Metal Stoker on the other hand is surprisingly good. In fact, it's very good. Throughout the game you'll come across many different enemy types as well as weapons to use. I really like the style of the mechanicized enemies. It reminds me a lot of Granada on the Mega Drive and the Sharp X68000. Just like Granada, the action is viewed from overhead with easy to use controls. You move around with the direction pad, have one button to shoot with and the other to keep you facing in the same direction while moving around. Pausing the game will allow you to cycle through the different weapons you've acquired and view their stats. The level variety is where Metal Stoker really shines. There are only 7 levels, but each one is long and most of them scroll in every direction, letting you seek out items and enemies however you wish. I love this type of freedom in an overhead shooter. While Metal Stoker may not be a famous arcade port, it sure holds up better than many of them on the PC Engine. Do yourself a favour and check it out. A lot of people think Parasol Stars is a part of an unreleased arcade game, but the truth is that it was directly made for the PC Engine, then ported to home computers. Bubby and Bobby star once again as the main characters in what can be said to be Bubble Bobble 3. However, this time they have retained their human forms from Rainbow Islands. Unlike Rainbow Islands, Parasol Stars plays a lot more like Bubble Bobble. The game takes place in a number of different worlds, each with distinct themes. Each world features 7 rounds, the last one always hosting the boss that must be defeated to progress to the next world. There are 8 main worlds, however in order to complete the game properly, the player must open a secret door to the final world. This is only doable by collecting 3 of the star items, allowing access to 2 secret worlds themed around Bubble Bobble and Shack and Pop. Completing these 2 secret levels will lead to the final boss and the true ending. So Parasol Stars brings us to the end of another retro core and the end of our PC Engine special. Now I know there's probably a lot of games which you guys wanted to see and you're probably wondering why I didn't feature any of the Burning Soldier games. Well, basically everyone covers them and here on RetroCore we like to cover games which usually don't get much coverage on other channels. So what games would you have liked to see in this episode? why not make a comment down below? And who knows, maybe we'll come back and visit the PC Engine again. We'll definitely be doing a PC Engine CD special sometime in the future, so maybe we can put them in there. For now though, keep on gaming and enjoy your games.